Well, what's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. We have matches starting tomorrow. I'm recording this on Thursday. We've got matches resuming on Friday. A couple of bangers this week, a couple of big matches for some teams that are kind of like teetering on the edge of being good or bad. A couple of bad teams that need victories bad. Otherwise, they are going to be starting losers bracket. Let's dive in and take a look at what we got for the match schedule. And I'll give you my predictions for each match. All right, first up, we have Atlanta FaZe versus the Los Angeles Guerrillas. If we click this little button here, pretty lopsided predictions in the favor of Atlanta FaZe. I do think it is a little bit closer to 95-5. I don't really see a way that LAG can win this match, but I do think they can take maps off of FaZe because unlike some of the teams near the bottom, I feel like LAG have a couple of like really good maps like High Rise Control. I think they've looked good in High Rise Search. Subbase they've looked very serviceable on. So depending on how the vetoes can go here, I can see LAG stealing a map, and that's what I'm going to give it to them. But, you know, I just think FaZe has got too much skill, and I wouldn't be too disheartened if you're LAG. They got matches coming up against, and we'll get to it, like Boston and Rocker. And I think they have opportunities to actually get on 3 wins and maybe make winners bracket. This next match for me is probably, and I think Seattle probably plays the number 1 and number 2 matches this week for me, starting off with the Toronto Ultra. Both teams really coming into this match, off of really difficult week 2s in the CDL. Toronto had that upset loss, I believe, to Boston. And, I think in general, want to see Scrap step it up, especially in S&D. Has been a little bit weak in the 3 matches we've seen. And I know people have thoughts on Envoy as well, and he needs to step it up because his last match versus Boston was not good. And then you look at, the Seattle Surge, and they're a team that, we'd had those great victories against Thieves in Boston, and then they came down to earth week 2 against Optic and FaZe. And listen, like, there's a good chance that after this matchup, Seattle is going to be on a 3-game slide, and we'll get to their match on Saturday, first match that basically becomes like, kind of a little bit of a must win. So I actually think this is going to be kind of a banger. I'm really debating because I think Toronto's going to win this one. I'm just not sure if I see Seattle winning 2 maps or 1 map. I'm going to say 3-1, but I won't be surprised if it goes to a game 5. If it goes to a game 5, Seattle definitely has a chance because I don't think Toronto's been crazy amazing in search. But if Toronto can control the respawns in the way that I think they can, they probably get this done. All right, and our final match is New York versus the Minnesota Rocker. New York are 3-0. But 2 of those wins were against LAG and Vegas, and they did obviously get the nice win against Optic at the beginning of the season, so I'll give them that. New York has probably, in retrospect, like the easiest schedule out of any team in the CDL this stage. No disrespect to New York, but LAG, Vegas, Rocker, LA Thieves is like the middle of their schedule. Boston, like they only play 2 top teams in Toronto and Optic. Now, mind you, having a easy Major 1 schedule doesn't necessarily mean the rest of your schedule is going to be easy, and you go look at New York's schedule, the rest of the splits, you'll see what I mean. And they're playing a Rocker team that is really not very good in my eyes, and I don't really see a massive path to improvement. I got New York taking this 3-0. I know some people seem to think that Rocker are going to upset in this one, but I really don't see it with this Minnesota Rocker team. They'd have to catch New York on a real off day to win this one. I know there are some concerns based on what Dante said before the break about his hand, but I've also seen him playing a lot, so I don't know what's going on with that. We get to, I think, the biggest match of the weekend, Seattle Surge versus the Miami Heretics. We obviously just talked about Seattle. Let me talk a little bit about Miami. This is the sort of step up in competition we've been waiting for Miami to play, because I think Seattle is better than Carolina, who Miami beat, Vegas, Rocker. Not really sure yet how to evaluate this Miami team. They have a potential to be very good, or it could be like Seattle, where they can beat up on the teams that are weak and make a lot of mistakes, but they play better teams and they get in trouble. Now, this Miami team likes to play a lot of terminal, but so does Seattle. But if you're Miami, they've actually looked really good on Invasion, and Seattle's looked a little bit iffy. So I'm very curious to see if maybe the map pool gets a little bit funky for this one. I am going to give Miami in a game 5, I think, right now, and I'm very curious to see the pick'ems. Yeah, it's pretty even. For me, I think it is a little bit of a toss-up, but I like Miami's ability to close more so than I like Seattle's ability to close. And based on this prediction, man, we're going to have a real tough combo about Seattle on a 4-game slide after this week. So we'll see if they can take one of the 2 here. LAG versus Boston. This is a real interesting one. I'm curious to see. Well, fan predictions have it 73-26 for LAG, and I actually think it's a little bit closer than that. Boston, I don't know what's up with this Boston team, man. They really are not playing their best COD right now. And I do think that something's got to give there. They've been really poor in S&D, which is LAG's strong suit. I would say for Boston, If you get rid of sub base in this and it ends up being like an evasion heavy series, I don't know if that really benefits you that much. I'm actually going to go LAG in this one. I'm going to go LAG 3-1, but I won't be surprised if Boston wins. I just think right now LAG probably has been grinding a little bit more in Boston, so I'm going to give them the edge on this one. And I don't know. I guess is this an upset? I don't know. I don't really know what the lines of the books are right now. I haven't really checked, but I like LAG in this one. Next up, we have LA Thieves versus the Toronto Ultra. Thieves, man, another real disappointing team like Boston as far as the way they have played so far. They've had some real bad series, although, the second week, man, was so weird because they had that nice clean series against Boston, and then they got an absolute stinky against LAG. So I have no idea what to think with the Thieves team. Unfortunately, I think their woes are going to continue, and I got Toronto taking this 3-0, and I assume 78-21 is, I expect it to be heavy for Toronto, but I feel like to me of all the matches, this one's more of a 3-0 than like say FaZe or LAG, but whatever. All right, and we get to the final match on Saturday, Vegas versus Optic. Vegas are a team that real squanders a lot of opportunities in the second week of the CDL. They won the first map and then proceeded to lose 3 straight against Miami, and then they got slammed decently by Optic, although the S&D was close. I think by New York, rather. Apologies. Vegas lost to New York. Vegas can't win controls. I think Optics look really good on hardpoint. They look really good in search. I'm going to give Vegas one map in this, but I just don't see the respawns being very close and not being able to win controls. Vegas have to win like both S&Ds and at least one of the hardpoints. I don't really see them winning a hardpoint against Optics, so I'm going to give it a 3-1 just because I see Vegas like stealing map 1 or map 2, but that's going to be about it in this series. All right, let's check out our Sunday matches now. FaZe versus Vegas. It's the same problem as the matchup for the Optic in this sense. Like for FaZe, they're just an all 3 game mode team. They're not going to lose controls against Vegas. See FaZe experiment with the map pool. I think this one's a 3-0 for me in Vegas. Listen, they had a tough schedule. There's not much to be said. Like they're going to really struggle to win any of these games against top teams. Carolina versus Rocker. This one is interesting for me. Carolina did not look good for the break. Don't know if we're going to get the full Carolina team in this matchup because supposedly they're working on Real's visa issue and Rocker may likely be coming off an L. So I don't really know what to think about this. The fan predictions have it 52-47 for Carolina. I'm just trying to think like which team do I trust more in search, and they've both been pretty thoroughly mid in the game mode. So I'm actually going to go Minnesota Rocker 3-2 here just because they may have their full team, but this is like a battle of the bottom in my eyes. All right, last 2 games, LA Thieves versus the New York Subliners basically becomes a must-win for Thieves to attempt to salvage something in this stage. I'm going to see what the fans have it. I would assume it's not close. Yeah, I'm going to give, for no reason at all, I'm going to say this is game 5 and New York wins, to be honest. I will just assume that Thieves shows up, but they're not going to win. They're going to come up short. I just can't trust them in searches against New York. New York have looked really good in that game mode. And our last matchup, and this is a fun one, the Miami Heretics versus the Boston Breach. I'm trying to find a way for me to want Boston to win this series, and I think maybe I might change my mind depending on how Saturday goes. Obviously making these predictions on Thursday, but nothing in the way that Boston plays has me convinced that they have a chance in the series. I'll give them 1, but I think they're going to get 3-0 to be honest. So we'll go 3-1 and lock that in. So there you go. Just a little zoom out here so you can see all the predictions. I think the only upset I picked maybe was like Miami over Seattle. I don't know. Is that even an upset? I just, right now with the way the underdogs enter in a lot of these series, like New York versus Thieves and Rocker might be the ones that are like potential upsets. But I haven't seen anything from the bottom seeded teams in all these matches to make me think that they're like capable of an upset. Obviously a top team can always show up and have a bad day, but there's something I've learned from this game. The upsets for the top 4 teams are really not happening outside of the Toronto loss to Boston. So we're going to keep running with that for now. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of these predictions in the chat. Like if you enjoy, we got a Q&A video coming up for you next, so make sure you check that out, and we'll see you guys on the next one.